let's talk about this eclipse portal that we are in right now and what it'll feel like, what's going to happen, the little arc, the little story arc that is going to happen over this period. So we have moved into the eclipse portal with new moon energy. So new moon is actually today, which is the 17th of February. And with the new moon, we move into this eclipse portal. And we are in this eclipse portal for about 2 weeks, and we come out of it on the 3rd of March with the full moon. So the eclipse portal goes from a new moon to a full moon, or a full moon to a new moon. It just depends on whether we are beginning with a solar eclipse or a lunar eclipse. And this particular one that we are in right now, we begin with a solar eclipse. So that's the new moon. So eclipse portals, corridors are the time frame between the two. And they are frequency amplifiers. They amplify the frequencies that we are in. And I often describe them in a way that is maybe a little harsh, but if you're going along your life and there is this pathway that you are meant to be on to become all that you're meant to become in your lifetime, and you are on this pathway and circumstances and beliefs and conditions have kind of pushed you over here and you're off the pathway, oftentimes what I describe as happening during an eclipse is the eclipse literally shakes your world up so that you find yourself back on that pathway. They're like pulling you back onto the pathway, and sometimes it can be quite disruptive in your life to pull you back onto that pathway. But like I say, I think that's a little bit of a harsh description. So let's just chat through it. Let's just feel into it. So light is interrupted. The pattern of frequency, of phases, of cycles is interrupted with an eclipse, and your autopilot will be interrupted with an eclipse. Okay, any area in which you are playing small, avoiding your next level, clinging to safety, or kind of performing rather than embodying will be highlighted during this period and will potentially be reset. So it's important to talk about this one being a solar eclipse that starts us, that kicks us into gear, because that brings with it this kind of feeling of an identity ignition before the emotional closure of who you have been and who you are, who you have been. And so this really strong spotlight goes on who you are becoming. It disrupts the version of you that feels safe, and it redirects your life force. And all that stuff happens before you really have time to process it. Your life shifts before your emotions catch up. So I've written here, this portal is about the contrast between who you've been and who you are becoming. Now, if you follow my journey and you follow my diaries and you follow what's going on, you will know that I have been going through a huge transition over the last few months with winter and with all that kind of jazz. And I can't pretend that this is anyone speaks to me, who knows me on an energetic kind of evolutionary growth kind of perspective, and they'll say, how are you? How are things? And I'm like, shifting, because things are always shifting. And I love the phrase that says, that is something like, if you knew me yesterday, you don't know me today, because I change. My energy, my frequency, my baseline, everything changes quite quickly. There's constant, continuous change with me. and that floor underneath my feet is continuously kind of shifting and moving. And I actually love that about my life. I love uncovering things. I love mastering things. I love feeling into things. I love waiting for things to unfold. I often create plot lines in my life where I kind of decide that, you know, we're going from here to a different area, a different thing. So we're going from here to super healthy. And I make the decision, I put it out there, I make it into a plot line, and then I wait for it to kind of unfold and happen in my life. And that's pretty exciting, and it's pretty fun, and it's pretty magical, and it's much better than just living in the same kind of Groundhog Day every single day. So that is kind of what this channel's all about. It's what I'm all about. It is about reclaiming yourself. It's about becoming who you're meant to be. It's about becoming the most expansive version of you. It's about living the most expansive, abundant, amazing life you possibly can. Anyway, I don't know where I was going there. And that's why I love eclipses. Eclipses for me are like, I find them really exciting. They're not something that some people fear them. And I think when I first started kind of getting into being energetically led and understanding what these things were, I used to be like, oh shit, it's an eclipse season. It's coming. And I used to be like, oh, when I knew that it was coming. But now I'm kind of like, what's going to happen? It's all exciting. So with a solar eclipse, the identity reset happens first. New seeds are planted before the emotional closure, and external shifts happen before processing. And it often feels like life is moving before we're ready. So if you feel like that feeling where it feels like the treadmill's going too quickly and you can't keep up, and that is just how life feels, that is potentially what's going to go on over this eclipse portal. Now, there are other things going on over this eclipse portal. We are going to shift into late winter. We're going to shift from Aquarius into whatever comes next. Is it Pisces? Sorry, I don't always know everything off the top of my head. We've moved from the year of the snake into the year of the horse, the fire horse. There is Mercury in retrograde, I believe, right now. Obviously, planets are moving and shifting and doing things anyway. So there's a lot of stuff going on with this particular eclipse portal. And you might be feeling it showing up already. As I've already done like a bit of a forecast of energy for the week ahead, and we already have an arc in place for what this energy is, where this energy is going to take us from and to over the next week. And, you know, this is a massive part of it. I already, it's like a feeling of being slapped in the face with obvious things that I have allowed to go, not unnoticed, because I can't say these things have been unnoticed, but it's almost like the identity has shifted before the emotional processing has happened. Like things that it's like I'm just getting slapped in the face with, you know, why are you doing this? It's obvious you should do this. Why have you been doing this? It's obvious you should be doing this. Why this isn't working? It hasn't worked for months. Why are you still doing it? Stop it, do this. There's a lot of that kind of vibe coming through for me right now. And it's coming thick and fast too. It's coming thick and fast. To the point that I didn't realise how far away from myself I had become over the last, I don't know, but I certainly know over Christmas, over the last 6 weeks or so, I've been not myself at all. And I couldn't see that I wasn't myself. But now, literally, it was like getting slapped around the face this morning. When it came through, I was like, boom. I was like, what? Why have I been doing that? Why haven't I been doing that? Why have I been stuck in that loop? I should have been in this loop. It makes absolute, perfect, clear sense right now. But while I was in it, couldn't see my way out of it at all. So the eclipse is already starting for me. The eclipse is already working for me. We've got new moon energy around us right now. We've got to be really careful. I've put it in a little bit of a story already, a little bit of a short. We've got to be really careful what we're focusing on, because that new moon is going to power up anything that we say we want or anything that we say we don't want. We need to be flipping the don't wants into the wants to get the new moon energy onto it. But know that the eclipse is like this. It's like this fast track. It's like this portal. It's like you've gradually over the year, that's your pathway, and gradually over the year you've kind of started going over there, and the portal is the kind of moment where it's like get back on your path. It pulls you back to your path. And so the identity shifts that we're probably having is to bring us back to our path. If you are someone who has been lucky enough to stay on your path, then it's probably a fast track to the next level of you. So I believe we go in cycles. We come back to points, we repeat things, we repeat lessons, but we go deeper into these lessons, and your cycle might be taking you up a level. Something interesting to think about is that usually eclipses come in at like 18-year kind of trends, if you want to put it that way. So you can take a bit of a squiz back at what you were doing 18 years ago, which is 2008, and maybe reflect on who you were back then. Maybe reflect on what was going on for you back then, because the chances are that, you know, we're bringing back some of that kind of like that vibe from that kind of era. So check that out too and see if there's anything that links there. So identity is really, really important, and it's interesting to me that this is the eclipse that has come so early in the year. So normally eclipses are kind of like April time. This is early doors. This is an eclipse before we start moving into the spring growth. This is an eclipse that is happening towards the back end of winter, after we have been the seed in the ground. We've been changing, we've been rewiring, we've been pulling in nourishment, and we are not quite ready to show the world who we are yet, or we are slightly beginning to feel that little bit of energy of, you know, who we're going to be in the world this year. And the fact that we're having this identity shift in February before the spring equinox, to me, is a really, really powerful thing to kind of be aware of. So yeah. So this will probably unfold in my weekly diaries. I will tell you more about what's gone on for me in the week, so that you can kind of lean into this. But I don't feel the need to go digging into kind of the dark depths of the eclipses. That's enough for me. You know, I can point you in the direction of different places. Elizabeth Peru, for example, she gives you a daily kind of step-by-step process of what to journal on every day, what to think about every day. For me, I just like to know what's happening, what the arc is. I'm very much about the arcs or the storylines or the plot lines, and then understand while this is I'm always taking notes on my energy. I'm always following the energy. I'm always aware of what I'm feeling and what's going on within me. But I will be paying slightly more attention. That's a lie, because I don't think I can pay any more attention. But, you know, I will be witnessing the shifts and the changes that come through me over the next 2 weeks while I'm going through this portal. And, you know, at the end of the portal, I will do a reflection where I reflect back on the eclipse portal and what has potentially changed for me. Like I do the weekly diary moments. So I just wanted to do a little bit of a deep dive into this eclipse, just to give you a little bit, or to lean into it a little bit more. Not necessarily to give you anything, but more for me to lean into it a little bit more, to focus on it, to think about it, which is what this channel is for. I'm a self-projected projector by human design. I need to speak my voice. I need to lean into things. That's how I process, it's how I hear my truth. So just chatting through these little pieces of detail and these little pieces of information linked to my life and leading that energetically led life is kind of important for me. So if you can get anything from it, from me rabbiting on, then, you know, we're serving a purpose, we're supporting each other, you know? I'm doing my thing that I need to do to hear my own voice. You can listen in and hopefully it will activate you as well. Two birds, one stone, I think is the phrase. Anyway, on that note, I'm going to get off. I'm going to leave you to it. Yeah, and I'll see you back here at the end of the week, if not before. There is a lot of stuff spinning at the moment. It may be that there are a few videos that land, just because there's a lot in my head at the moment. So, yeah. Energy-led life, allowing the energy to bring us into alignment, to make life easier, to make life better, to make it more flowful, and to just, when you're in alignment, it feels good. Life feels good. If you're not feeling good about your life, you are out of alignment in some way, shape, or form. And it is a case of just understanding why that is and what is creating that for you. But ultimately, that is if you are leading an energy-led life, you are allowing the energy to lead you, then you should be living a feel-good life because you should be in alignment more often than not. Obviously, we have when you're following an energy-led life, you know, activations are always positive activations, and we have to work through them and release them so that we are sat in that positive, happy, higher end of the emotional guidance scale. I don't know what I'm rambling on about now, but the words keep coming. But I think I've done the eclipse season, eclipse portal. Obviously, when we start with a lunar eclipse, then energy is slightly different. It's a slightly different portal. I'll talk to you about that when we get to a lunar eclipse. But right now, that's your vibe. Your identity is shifting. It will be highlighted to you where you are playing small, where you're avoiding your next level, where you're clinging to safety, where you're performing, not embodying. The portal will highlight to you the contrast between who you've been and who you are becoming, and you will feel like you are becoming that before you are ready. You will feel like life is moving before you're having chance to process and catch up. So just be aware of that. That is the vibe. That's what's going to be happening. And, you know, witness it. Witness. Wait and witness. Use those two words. I love those two words. Leaning back, waiting, witnessing, watching it all unfold for you. It's quite good. It's quite exciting. Catch you later.